I'm going to show you a couple of different ways, maybe several different ways, on how you can pack this to ship it to your buyer and use the least amount of packaging as possible. Hi everyone, I'm Vicki with Avante Avenue. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. Today is a different kind of video. It's a pack and ship, but not one of my ordinary pack and ships. I'm going to get a little more detailed in this one. And I will say that it's probably not going to be for everyone. If you're selling clothing, well, this video is probably not for you. But if you sell hard goods and boxed items, then yes, I think there's plenty to be learned from this video that I've put together for you. But before we get started, I need to do a drawing from last Sunday's video where some of the people picked up on the fact that I was giving away something. What was that? Oh, I forgot it. Let me go get it. Got it. I'm giving away a jumping jack. What is that, you say? I'll show you how I use it. Jumping jack cell phone. It's a cell phone holder like this. Or if you like to watch videos, it'll hold it horizontal on your tabletop. Or if you're on the phone a lot and your hand gets tired of gripping your phone, I use it like this. I'm giving one of these away from my last video. You know, when you skip through the videos, meaning you fast forward and you pause and you watch, and you fast forward and you pause and you watch, you might just be missing some of my tips that I'm sharing with you and missing out on the opportunity to win a door prize. And I'm going to give away more prizes this year. Sometimes jumping jacks and sometimes maybe something I find when I'm out shopping. So be sure to watch the whole video so that you can have an opportunity to find out the keyword and possibly win. And the winner is, got a name. Let's see who it is. The winner of the jumping jack is Lynn Sears. Excuse my handwriting, Lynn Sears. Lynn, if you're watching this video, please open the drop-down box in the description and email me your contact information. Do not comment on the video with your contact information. Email it to me for privacy. Congratulations. So back to today's video. I said we're going to talk about shipping hard goods and different ways to do that. This is a Scrabble game. It's actually an empty box because I'm keeping the Scrabble pieces. But I just wanted to use this as an example. I've already put it in small bubble wrap, but I'm going to show you several ways that you could possibly ship this unusual shaped item, because as far as I can tell, USPS doesn't have free priority boxes that fit this perfectly. So I'm going to show you some other ways to ship a non-fragile, that's what this is about, non-fragile items. We're going to talk about cardboard in this video. I know, sounds real exciting, but trust me, there's a lot to be learned about cardboard. And I'm going to share some of that with you in this video. Cardboard is not all the same. So grab your favorite beverage and find your favorite chair. And let's get started on how to pack and ship non-fragile, pre-boxed items. Let's get started. I have a Scrabble game here. It's not actually fragile. There's nothing glass, nothing ceramic inside. It comes in its own original box. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways, maybe several different ways, on how you can pack this to ship it to your buyer and use the least amount of packaging as possible to save on weight. The very first thing I like to do is to make sure that this cardboard box, even though it's on the inside, I want to make sure that it cannot get wet. So I'm just going to use some inexpensive plastic wrap. This is just from Aldi. I'm not sponsored. If it covers your edges completely, that's a great thing. Just kind of fold one side down and corners in and one side up. Because you never know how those boxes are going to be handled along the way. It could get, dropped in water. But make sure you have your box sealed. That's pretty easy. The next thing we want to do is to protect the original box. No, it's not fragile. It's not necessarily breakable, but it could be damaged. So we're going to put a layer of bubble wrap on here, and you can choose to use large or small bubble wrap when you have an item that's not fragile. We're trying to protect the box. The box can mean as much to the buyer as the contents inside. I'm going to use small bubble wrap. Just fold in your ends. Pretend you're wrapping a Christmas present. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do the best you can. Repeat the process on the other side. And I think I might put a piece in the center because it's gapping a little bit here. Apply my thank you label, which of course you know I run 30 up. Well, this is a partial sheet right now. I kept some upstairs, some downstairs. Okay, how are we going to box this? Let's try priority mail shoebox. Do you think it'll work? Let's find out. I have an eBay shoebox here, and I noticed that this box does not have a rating. What do I mean by that? There are no markings on here. Normally it's a round circle with information inside. There are no ratings on this box. That means that it has not been tested for edge crush test. Do you see how thin that box is? This is another eBay box, a 12 by 12 by 8, and do you see that little circle on the bottom? Can you read that? It says edge crush test, ECT 32 pounds. What does that mean? What that means is every edge of the box, from the corners to the perimeter, can withstand up to 32 pounds of pressure. It would take over 32 pounds for this to be crushed. That is the test that they ran on this box when they made it. That's a really good thing. Compared to the shoebox, and you know they do advertise it as a shoebox, has no rating. Take a look again at how thin this is. I don't know if you can see. This is the shoebox that I'm pushing forward here. And this is the box that has the 32 ECT. I'll try to zoom in on this to show you the difference of the rated box versus non-rated box. That means a lot if you're shipping something fragile. Here's another piece of scrap cardboard for comparison. This one has 51 ECT or 51 pounds of edge crush test. That's a really heavy box. This is an example of another 32 ECT. It shows up a little bit better. This is a single wall box, meaning it has a liner board, a fluted or arched paper inside, also known as flutes, and another liner board on the bottom. Do you see how it's sandwiched there? This is rated a 32 pound ECT, and it's a single layer corrugated box. This one is even heavier, and it is rated 51 pound ECT. Can you tell here that it's a double wall? It has 2 layers of fluting inside, single layer, double layer. A single layer on top and a double layer on the bottom. These are 2 different boxes. So we have eBay's shoebox with no fluting inside, a single layer, and a double layer. Just to give you an idea of how boxes are constructed and why it's important if you're shipping something fragile to use at least a single layer and look for the minimum of 32 ECT or 32 pounds of edge crush test on the rating on the bottom of the box if you're shipping fragile items. But this isn't fragile. This video is about a non-fragile item. I wanted you to know that. Even though this item is a non-fragile item, I wanted you to know a little bit about edge crush test. So let's move on. I'm going to show you several options for shipping this non-fragile game box. The shoebox, not rated, so it's okay for non-fragile items. Let's see if this fits. The Scrabble box fit before I bubble wrapped it, but it will not fit now. Can we make any use out of this shoebox? What do you think? Let's undo the original seam. You can alter regular priority boxes. You cannot alter flat rate boxes. In fact, you can't alter a flat rate box in any way, shape, or form, nor can you use it for priority mail. There's a misnomer that you can mark out flat rate on a box and use it, but you cannot. The package could very well be returned to you or your buyer charged more. So now I have a sheet of cardboard here. I like to start using the existing fold lines. Now we need to create a new side for this box. My scoring tool hasn't come in yet, or I'd be showing that to you. You'll need a ruler and a scoring tool. And for right now, I'm using this staple puller that I have. You could use a screwdriver, anything that you can make a line without pressing all the way through. You don't want to tear your box. We need to make a fold line here. So I'm just going to rotate this and use my ruler to lining up the end. I don't know if you're right-handed or left-handed. I'm kind of both. So I'm going to make a score line. But I do need to come all the way down and finish off the flap. You could use a straight edge as well if you have one. Let's use the ruler to fold up the new flap. So let's fold up the flap now and see how we did. That looks pretty good. And the length on this box happens to work out pretty good, even with the bubble wrap. I might have to adjust it just a little bit. Now, I created this new folds, but I'm going to have to cut here for new flaps, both there and here. I need to make a little cut. Let's just go ahead and do that. Just cut, to the existing flap. Let's do that down here as well. I'm going to start from the inside now. Again, I'm just running it lightly to start. So now what we've done is we've created the side flap, and by cutting that we've created end flaps. But this is the original fold, and we need to make it come here. So again, I need a measurement here. We need to make another score line on the other side of the box. So just line up your ruler, take your scoring tool, I'm going to score it 3 times, and move it down and finish again to the end of the flap. Use the ruler on the new score line. I can rotate this. It is just a game box. It's going to get tossed around in the mail for sure. Using my ruler, just lining it up, making sure that it's straight. Use a scoring tool of your choice, and I'm going to score it. Let me move this camera back a little bit. And I'm going to score it 3 times. And then I need to move this and finish off. Again, lining the ruler up. Again, using your ruler on the new score line that you made and fold up. Now the same thing is going to happen on this end as here. Let's see how we did. I used the existing fold here, made a new fold, created 2 new score lines here for this side of the box. I'm going to wrap that up over, and here we go. We've got a nice fit on this box. We do need to cut the flap here. Don't forget to cut your flaps. It's hard to fold it if you don't cut your flaps. Make sure your item inside is not anywhere near the edge. In fact, I'm just going to roll this over a little bit. I've got to cut 2 flaps. We're making 2 new flaps. If you can see what I'm doing there. Just lightly scoring it and then cutting a little deeper. I find I make a straighter cut that way. And repeat the process for the other end. Make sure your item is out of the way. It's out of the way. Creating the new flap. You can always put a cutting board inside of here if you wish. Depends on how comfortable you are with the utility knife. Okay, fold that over. Fold this over. We'll tape this. We have new flaps. Now, we made the box a little shorter, so I can see here that I'm going to have to trim this off now. I'm going to have to trim it off a little bit because we made the box not as wide, so therefore these flaps are too long. So we'll do a little trimming there. And how do we know how long these flaps should be? They can't be any wider than the box, so let's take a measurement. Our box is now down to 1 3/4. So these flaps are currently at about 2 3/4. They need to be 1 3/4. They need to match the side. What I'm going to do here is from the original fold, I'm going to measure out 1 3/4, and I'm going to make a little line or a little dot at 1 3/4 because I need to cut off this excess flap. Take the longest ruler that you have. This is an 18-inch ruler. Line it up to your little dots or dashes, whatever you made. You'll need a utility knife and start slowly and carefully cutting away the flaps. And you'll have to turn this and to work with it depending on how large your table is. By the way, I'm using the back side of my cutting board. And I got this at Walmart, not sponsored, but it's the largest cutting board I could find. So we have that end completely trimmed back, but we also have this end to trim back. So we need to do the same thing, repeat the same process. Measure out to 1 3/4 and cut off the excess. Again, we're going to trim this off. We're making the flaps, the end flaps, 1 3/4. Okay, let's check the fit. This is the original flap. I'm going to put that to the inside. We would tape this, but let's check this out. How do we do? It's a little awkward to work with. There you go, tape it up. And folding this and taping it up. And your package is good to go. You've got a box to fit almost perfectly for your game box inside. Let me show you another way to do this. Let's try a USPS rectangular shaped box, but wait a minute, it's not long enough. I'm not going to go through every step. I'm not going to add additional bubble wrap or filler at this time, but I'm going to show you quickly here how to use this box. First of all, you would fold up one end and tape it off so that you know how far your item extends past the box. You can see it's coming past about 2 inches right now. So what we can do is take the same identical box and cut off one end. This is just one end of this same exact box. What you need to think about is that this flap is going to stay extended, so your new flap is going to go past this. So that's where you start your first measurement, is by pulling your flaps past the original flap. Next, because this is the flap cut, you want to extend past this line, past the flaps, at least 3 inches. Now that I see it, I'm only extended about 4 inches, so this would be perfectly fine. Basically, we're making a cap, so I'm going to assemble this, and of course I'm going to seal it off and tape it, and then I'm going to work it on top of the end like so and push it until it stops. Now again, I did not take the time to do all the extra packing material inside, but you would want to do that to make sure that your box item inside doesn't shift around. But that's how you use this size box, is simply by using a portion of it, taking advantage of the end flaps, and just slide it on top. What else can we try? I've got some scrap cardboard. Can we make anything out of this? Let's find out. What I have here is a box from eBay that my order of shipping boxes came in. You know how they have to put all the boxes into another box? This is one of the boxes that was the outer box. It's a single wall, and it can take up to 32 pounds edge crush test on all the corners when it's assembled. Scrap cardboard, a big sheet of scrap cardboard. It's just a couple of flaps. I'm going to recycle it. The first thing I need to do is cut this up a little smaller. I like to cut all the flaps away whenever possible. But let's do a test fit first, see what we can do with this. I'm starting with this flap. And you always want to put anything that has writing on it or print or all tape to the inside. Sometimes I take advantage of the existing flaps. Can I make a box out of this? Is that possible? I've got a couple of ideas. The first thing I'm going to try is making a top and bottom box. I need to trace around this and see how much room I need, and I might as well, no, I'm just going to center it up. That's what I'm going to do. But I need to keep in mind what the height is of my ends. It's about 1 3/4. 1 3/4 with the small bubble wrap. That's the height. And that's what I'm going to need around it by the time I trace this out. 1 3/4 all the way around. So let's trace it. I'll play some music. And you can see here that because of the bubble wrap, I hope you can see, it's not very straight. It kind of wiggles here and there, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to measure, as I said, 1 3/4 out from what I just drew. Let me draw that a little darker for you. Is that better? You know, I said 1 3/4, but I'm going to go a little extra. I'm going to go 2 inches around. It couldn't hurt. 1 3/4. Going to draw this out because I have corners that I need to square off. Decided to switch to a clear ruler that I have so I can see what's underneath. Hope you can see this. I've drawn around the outside my 1 3/4. Now I need to cut away all that extra cardboard. I'm going to use my large cutting board and my ruler and a utility knife. And if you don't know by now, I get my large cutting board from Walmart. Although you can get a grid type cutting board too from your local craft store. Whatever works. One piece gone. I'll recycle that again. Cut the other end off. Recycle everything you can. Cardboard is your friend, especially free cardboard. We're almost there. Sometimes it's stubborn. I have my 1 3/4 inches cut all the way around. Now we need to do some other markings and score this and fold this up to make the bottom of our box. But we also need to make a top, and the top needs to be slightly larger than the bottom. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and make the top right now. Taking some more scrap cardboard, I know that I'm going to need to make a lid for this, and the lid needs to be slightly larger than the bottom. What I'm going to do is go ahead and prep this. I'm going to need this size plus a little extra to be the lid, because it's going to go over top the bottom, if you know what I mean. You know how a box lid fits on. So I'm going to go ahead and just trace this out, allowing a little extra room on my cardboard. Let's go ahead and trace this. I will add another 1/4 inch to this, but I've got the lid partially traced out. Let's go back to the bottom. Put our game in the center within our lines. I'm going to just measure up a little bit. We need to mark off corners. I have to hold this up and show it to you in just a second after I do this. My straight edge, I'll show you in a second here what I'm doing. Just making a line on both sides. Same thing with the other end. I made a straight line here and here, but we need to finish making our corner. I think the hardest part about making a box is trying to translate what I'm doing. But do you see here? I drew out a corner. On every corner I marked out a square. Got 4 squares marked out. This is what we need to do. We're going to be scoring this and folding up this end. In fact, let's go ahead and score that now. And I'm going to use the staple puller, for lack of something better. I'm going to line this up to where the end of my box would be. And I'm going to score this 3 times lightly. I don't want to push all the way through the cardboard. And I'm going to fold this up. Okay? Do that to the other end as well. You need to score the length as well. So I'm lining up to those corner squares that I made, using that as my guide, and scoring. I heard that push through a little bit. It's too hard. And fold that up. Let's repeat the process to the other side. Okay, so we have it scored here and here and here. But we need to make a small cut. We need to cut on this line on the length. I'll show you here. A lot of people cut the whole corner out, but I don't do that, and I'll show you why. I'm going to fold this up and in, like so, and then fold this flap up. I'm making a box bottom. I leave this flap, I cut it on the long side, fold that in, fold this up. Now how am I going to keep that in place? I'm going to tape it. I'll add more tape later, but for right now, just enough to hold it in place. Again, fold those flaps in and up, squaring it off, and we're going to tape it. Actually, this side's a little high. I'm going to go ahead and trim that down. Sometimes you just have to experiment. Okay, so I trimmed off a little more off this end. I want this to be as even as possible when I fold this up. We can go ahead and put some tape on the outside too. Let's see how we did. Does it fit? It makes it. Maybe I should have folded it up with this sitting in it. It was a tight fit, but it makes it. See, we have a box bottom here. Let's finish the lid. As you recall, I drew out the bottom box on here a few minutes ago. I've allowed about 2 inches around. My height right now is right about at 2 inches. That's how it came out. But I also know that I need to go over top of this, so I need to allow a little bit extra to go over top. If this is 2 and this is 2, but I have to fit it over here, I need to allow a little more. So I think I'm going to add a 1/2 inch. That's what I'm going to add around this. So I've just put some little marks on all 4 corners, a 1/2 inch extension. Now I'm going to use my ruler. And I'm kind of liking this clear ruler. I haven't used one for a long time. I have several. I don't know why I haven't been using them. You'll have to adjust your ruler as you go. Recheck your lines. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. I think there's a lot of truth in that. A whole lot of truth if you've ever done home improvement. Let's do this end here. I don't think it has to be perfect, but it does have to be really close. So the more time that you spend in getting it right, the better off you'll be. Okay, I think we've got it. Let's get this cut out. It's always a little awkward working with big sheets of cardboard, especially if you don't have a huge cutting table. I used to have a huge cutting table, but right now my cutting table is my computer table. The other long side, the length. Okay. And the ends. That was easy. Okay, remember what we did on the last one? We had to mark off the 4 corners. We need to do the same thing here. But let's do a test fit. Let's see how it looks. Okay. Try to have even spaces around. Comes out to about 2 3/4. I'm going to mark off my corners. We need to make those corner squares. Just lining up to where I drew the box corners and going off of that line. Using those marks to a straight line. May not be perfect again, but as straight as I can get it. Are you still with me? Hope so. It always takes longer to make your first one than it does additional ones, and when I'm giving instruction it takes a little longer for me to explain it all. Now we need to score this. Might as well get it scored to bend, to fold. Wish this was a little bit longer. It would be nice if it was the whole length. So we have the score lines here. What do we need to do? We need to cut these lines here so that these are loose to fold up and fold in. Don't cut the wrong ones, cut the right ones. Because if you cut the wrong one, you can't go back. These are the lines that I cut this direction so that I can fold this up like so and fold these up and make a box lid. This is going to be a little bit stiff depending on what direction your cardboard fluting is running inside. Affects how difficult or how easy it is to work with. This is a little bit high on this end. I'm going to cut this down a little bit. What are we going to do? We're going to tape it. And the outside. This is still a little bit high on this end. Might be okay. Let's do a test fit. I think it's going to be fine. Let's repeat the process. Fold that in. Now if you wanted to, you could put it on the outside. If your lid became too tight, you could put it on the outside, but I prefer to put it on the inside. Let's see, is it going to fit? It fits great. We will tape everything up really well. We'll make sure everything is sealed. You know, it's got a little gap here, but we'll just tape everything down really well. You know, I allowed a 1/2 inch to go over top. I could have allowed maybe a little bit less, but I'd rather have it be slightly too big than too small. So there you go. We just made our own box with a lid to pack and ship a game or anything that's in its original box. I'm giving away a jumping jack in this video. The keywords for the drawing is JJ Blue. JJ Blue if you want to try to win this. Leave a comment, JJ Blue. But what if you don't have big pieces to work from? What if all you have are end flaps and smaller pieces and you just can't make a complete bottom and a top? Can you still pack this game with scrap cardboard? Yes, you can. I'll show you. You will need scrap pieces, end flaps, sides, whatever you have. Let's just start with this piece. This is what I have. It has a flap in it. I wish it didn't, but that's okay. I've got to go with what I have. This is all I have for my scrap. And it's longer than my box, so that's a good thing. Do you see how it fits pretty good as far as the width? You need that too. Just take whatever tool you're measuring with and put it to the end of your item, your box item that you're going to be wrapping. Stand it straight up and then lay it down. We need to create the bottom fold line. Scoring it and create your bend. So we have the first bend, but we also need to bend it here. Again, with your tool and a marker, fold your cardboard up and mark where you need to make your next fold. I put a little line here. Get your scoring tool and create another fold. Now I have some loose fringy stuff here. You can just take your scissors or utility knife and trim that away. So see what I've done here? I've got this end covered. Let's do the same thing to the other end. In fact, let me turn this around so you can see the pretty Scrabble box. Your ruler, drop it flat. I'm going to use my left hand and score it. You can use your ruler to help bend it. We've got the first bend, but we need to put a second bend in this. Take your pen and make a mark. See here, I have a little mark. And we're going to score this and bend. Make a fold. Do you see where we're going with this? We have a nice bottom. In fact, this is 32 edge crush test cardboard. So it's a nicely weighted cardboard for packing and shipping, but the ends are exposed and the top is exposed. What can we do here? Using scrap cardboard. This is what I have. I'm going to go with this one here. But the ends aren't protected yet, but we'll take care of that. Let's tape this on first. We'll add more tape later. This is temporary. Just want to get this to stay in place. Bottom, ends, we need to finish off the sides. To create the ends for this box, you'll need to have cardboard that at least covers the height and about a 3-inch wrap on the top and bottom. So let's check the height. I need about 2 1/4 inches. Well, if I need 3 inches on the top and 3 inches on the bottom, I need about 8 1/4. 8 1/4. What are these? How wide is this scrap that I have? It's 7 inches. Not quite as much as what I would like, but let's make it work. A lot of times you have to work with what you have. Let's get the cutting board. We need to cut a piece of cardboard that's the same length as this box with these ends on it. So I'm just going to use this as my measuring and just go ahead and draw a line. This is my length. Let's cut that. One piece. I have this other scrap of cardboard and it has a flap in it already. Can I make this flap work to my advantage? Let's find out. If I wrap this, how much will wrap forward? I think we can make it and cut this piece using the first one I just cut as the pattern. I'm going to even this up a little bit on the end. Square things up if you have uneven edges. Push this all the way down to the end. Turn this around. This had a curl in it. I didn't get this perfectly straight, but that's okay. Again, using the first piece that we cut as our guide, just going to cut another one. What we're going to do with these is create ends that will wrap over this. Let's start with the end that has the fold already. We need to fold it one more time, and I'm going to just take a pen and mark it where I want to make the fold, right here. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line. What I'm doing is leaving the height right down through the center. I'm going to score this, fold it, and let's check for fit. Pretty good. Let's do the same thing for the other piece of scrap cardboard. On this piece I can show you a little closer. We need at least 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark off. I'm just going to eye it this time. I'm just going to kind of center this up and mark off 2 inches. I'm marking the 2 and the number 4. And I'm going to use the ruler to line this up and score. Same thing at the number 2 mark and the number 4 mark. Which this ruler is actually 2 inches wide, so that's pretty cool. Let's fold that up. See where I'm going with this? We're creating basically side flaps. Forgot to fold this with this on the inside. It does say eBay on it. What you want to do is always score on the side that you're folding into, not the opposite. So I'm going to have to leave this label on the back side. We just need to get this taped up. Turn it over and tape it some more. And of course I would add much more tape, and I would be taping it every direction, covering up every cross piece. I would tape it and tape it and tape it so that it's completely secure. You have to start with the best cardboard to get the best results. I can tell you that anything higher than a 32 ECT, 32 edge crush test is going to be very hard to manipulate, very hard to work with. So 32 edge crush test, 32 ECT is your friend when it comes to making your own boxes. Whether you do something like this, every edge here has 32 ECT cardboard on it. Now this priority mail box, the shoe box that I altered, does not. But I think it's going to be fine for a pre-boxed item that's not fragile. This box bottom and lid that I made is made from 32 ECT cardboard. And this priority mail box that I used, that I created the end cap for, is not 32 ECT. Not good for fragile items unless you really have a ton of bubble wrap inside, large bubble wrap. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you'll give me a thumbs up. I know it was kind of long, but I shared a lot of information with you, and I appreciate it if you subscribe and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Vicki with Avante Avenue. I'll see you soon. Thumbs up. Simple sales for good profit.